All right. Well, the first thing I want to go over is the bankroll management. And I think this is super important because it applies to anybody. It applies to people who are just tailing you. It
Mhm.
applies to recreational people who are, or somebody doing their own picks. It applies to people that are looking in the server and tailing other people's picks or just bouncing ideas back and forth. It doesn't matter. Bankroll management, you've got to have it or you're shit out of luck. So what are your thoughts on that? And also just like what's your process for your unit sizing?
All right, so bankroll management is probably one of the things I get DM'd the most about. It's just the general idea is just have a number, like have an amount of money that if you lost 100% of that, you would no longer bet again. And so once you said that, that can't be told by anybody. Once you said that, make one unit 1%. And a lot of people bet 1% per game. You'll see one unit all the time. The amount of research we do and like just confidence level, we typically bet 2 units, which would be 2% per game. So I had somebody DM me. I think I put it in the Discord, but I had somebody DM me. I'm just going to keep this in the clip. We're just going to keep rolling because this is
Yeah.
exactly what I was trying to get
Go,
at.
go.
So I had somebody DM me that said, here it is right here. He said, October, you're down 10.1 units. I'm out. The lack of accountability really, really puts it over the edge. Appreciate all you've done. Things. So when I say bankroll management, I don't mean understanding the 100% bet 1-2% per game. That's obvious. I would hope that all of you know that. What I mean by bankroll management is understand that, yes, October we're down 10 units. I have not hidden that any. I could care less because if you scroll back, go through action, scroll back through my week recaps, September, August, July, we are up 15 units, 15 units, 1 unit. So to be down 10 this month, yes, it sucks. I literally have not slept at night because it's annoying and I want to produce winners for the people that just came in the short term. But last month we were up 15. The month before we were up 15. So since baseball, which was such a short-term mindset, like you're not even looking that far back. Yes, we've lost 10. We're still up 20. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
to completely be like, damn, you've lost 10 units looks worse than it is because you've been in through that. So you were up, let's just say you joined baseball season. You were up 120% and then lost 10. Like, you can't go up all day, every day. Like, if you look at the graph that I post all the time, you can see, so 2018 to, I believe it was February, looks about like this. It's a nice steady, I think it was 7.5%, 8% incline. From February on, if you look at it, I'll pull it up in a second because I actually want to, looks just like this. It wasn't sustainable. So like to imagine that you're getting down on the first red month. We've had, it's what, October 15th. It's not even over yet, and people are still mad about this month. And this, if continued and stays red, it's possible, will be the third red month since December
Yep.
2018. So bankroll more means understanding like the long term of we've been red.
Trusting the
Yeah,
process.
and so that's what gets annoying. And where it becomes tough is I realize, like, there's somebody that said the other day, he was like, I've been in here 4.5 weeks and I'm not green. And that's where mentally it gets to me, is because, yes, I realize that. And that sucks. That's just part of the short-term game. The people that
Mm-hmm.
have joined and have been in, that's why I do months. That's why I do season packages. That's why I do what I do, because I don't want to sell a single day, single week, because understanding that like he's been up and low, up high and low for 4 weeks and is slightly red. Like, it's irritating for me, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's such a long-term investment that like you just have to be able to, and it was Tyrell that said that, and he is completely cool that he understands the long term, and that's how I wish everybody was. And that's why we make these, is to understand that like October has sucked. And if you look at the games that we bet in October, you don't look at them and you go, damn, he sucks. You look at them and you go, wow, those were unfortunate. And if you don't understand sports, because every single month beforehand, we've been positive. And so to see the movement, which we can talk about another time, the CLV, which I put an article in, I hope everybody read it because it was, I feel like helped depict it a little bit. But we cover enough to show that we're long term, and so I have no worries. And the 10% to me is honestly just like, damn, that sucks. I hope I can win Saturday because it's annoying to lose. And so
Yeah.
that's what it is. It's not 100%, 1%, 2%. I feel like that's a pretty generalized rule that everybody understands.
Yeah. Quick shout out to Tyrell. He's steadfast in the chat, and he's just usually cracking me up.
Yeah,
So
he's
it's
good.
just side note.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to make sure that people understand is when you are your unit sizing shouldn't be directly correlated with your bankroll all the time. So if you win, you shouldn't like win one game, you shouldn't up your wager because you won. Like, do you just wait until you hit like certain milestones, or how do you go about that? Because I know that you shouldn't be directly correlating with your bankroll with your unit sizing all the time, because then your fluctuations are just going to be worse.
Yeah. So I actually don't raise my units enough. I was talking to you earlier before we started recording, but I feel like my bankroll has grown and I need to raise it now. But I'm very slow to pull the trigger. I think that the slower the better. I know a lot of guys that did this professionally that just ran out of steam. Like, you go on those runs. So just to pull the trigger too fast can shoot you in the foot. But to pull it too slow isn't going to hurt you. It's just going to lose you a little bit of money over the long term.
Yes.
So how I look at it is just this, the slow and steady. Like, raise your units when you know if you lost 10 in a row, you're not going to be in trouble. That's how I've always said. If you lose 10 games in a row, X amount of money, are you mentally capable of doing it? Like, yes, money-wise, you should be able to do it, obviously. But it's such a mental game. Like, I could lose 10 games in a row right now and be like, okay, let's look at tomorrow's slate because I'm ready to win. And if there's ever a day that I put too much money on it, then mentally I'd be like, fuck, like, I'm forced to win now because I'm in trouble. I have too much money on the game.
I think it's important to put the law of large numbers in your favor. Like, this isn't a rule by any means. This is just like, you know, if you want to do this, great. If you've lost 5 games in a row and before those 5 games you were already looking to raise your unit size, it's like buying the dip in a stock.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to regress to the mean if you're confident in your plays. So that if there's a time to raise your units, like you were already thinking about it, then after you've lost 5 in a row, do it then.
Yeah, that's what I raised college football $100 the week after we lost. We reverse swept. We covered closing line by, I think it was like 11%, and we still reverse swept. And so I trust what I do enough to know that. And even then, I wanted to raise my units more than $100, but I knew that I didn't want to jump in too fast. So I raised 100 then. And then probably when I start settling in and I feel good on the season, I'll raise it a little more. And so you don't have to jump all in all at once. It's a super personal preference. So I know Minnie actually recalculates his bankroll every week at the end of the week, and he goes based off that. We've talked about this. And so there's no wrong way to do it technically. I guess if you were to win X amount in a week, recalculate into your bankroll and then just start a new bankroll with 1% being the number you have now. There's no wrong way to do it, but that's how I do it. So.
Okay. All right. Well, switching to a different topic a little bit. We talked about this a little bit, how you focus on major markets.
Mm-hmm.
We have Team Shaft. Shout out Team Shaft for having an incredible KBO season. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention, and I was not on the July crazy ride, and I got in a little late, but still made money. Oh, gosh. Let me look. He said that he won like 16 straight in July at one point.
It was ridiculous. He's a smart dude. He also, so we were talking about in Casual Talk, one day everybody just said what they did for a living, and there was like 20 engineers. Did you see that whole talk?
Yeah,
there was so Shaft's actually an engineer too, so it makes sense. But it was cool to see how many nerds are in it. So
overall first 5 record 2021, 75, 41, and 13 for plus 55.95 units, and overall total team record 4-1 for plus 3.3 units.
65%.
Yeah, that is absurd.
Absolutely.
Quick clap for that.
Yeah.
Can't wait for next year.
Good dude too. He DMs me a good bit. He deserves it. I was impressed.
So do you have any interest? I know you're already doing a lot of research, focusing on a lot of stuff, but do you ever consider focusing on a more specialized, smaller market like a KBO or like some kind of foreign league of some kind, like hockey, basketball, whatever it is?
So we did KBO for a minute. I don't trying to think. So we did KBO for a minute and we did good. The only problem was I felt like the amount of information that there is for major sports. So MLB, there's Fangraphs. I don't know if you've looked at Fangraphs. It has every stat you could possibly want. College basketball, there's a ton of them. There's Ken Palms, there's Hassel. There's for major markets, there's so much more to make in-depth decisions. And so KBO, like you're scraping for like there was times that I would lay off games because I just couldn't figure out who pitchers were. Like I would have no clue. And so the idea is awesome and we profited through KBO. The worry comes in the fact that I feel more confident with the more numbers I can get. And so it's just kind of scary. Also, I hate having this talk, but I feel like we would definitely move lines in KBO, and it would be
Kind of what
such
I thought you were going to
it would
say.
it would be such a headache to deal with on a daily basis that
Yep.
um, that on top of like just not having enough information, like we could still have spots from time to time, but like even I was significantly smaller of a page whenever we were doing KBO like early this year. We've had crazy growth, but even then, so I posted a max on KBO and it was KT Wiz -1, -130, and it closed 215. And so that's just me putting it on Twitter. And so that was before, that was probably, we had probably 300 members. So to imagine me doing that now,
Yeah.
I just don't think that people would be able to get it in on time. And so I don't think it's worth the time for us to go through. I still have my KBO model that still finds plays. I just changed the filter to be really high. So it would only find really big plays. And then I basically just, if Shaft is on something that's circled by mine, I'll play it. I think it has once, and we played it. And so it is what it is. I don't think that we'll have much of that for that reason of closing line and not being able to find stuff.
Yep. All right. Well, that's probably going to be your answer for my next question too. I was going to ask about possibly doing props and other derivatives markets. I kind of figure that when you've got the following you do, it's really hard to make those plays official because half the people or even more won't be able to lock it in at what you got it at.
Yeah, I saw Captain Jack, that guy that we were talking about last week.
Love that guy.
He has a YouTube channel, and he put on the YouTube channel the triangle of sports betting, and it was a really good watch. It was, I believe he said that you should have a professional sports bettor has a high majority of his bets in the major markets on the bottom, and then as it goes up in increments, and then the very height of the triangle was or pyramid was props, and it was like less than 5%. And he's basically getting at if you were a professional, you're not going to be able to bet on props because you're going to move lines too much. Is there value? Yes. I tell any person, any of like my friends that are in college, they're like, hey, I want to bet on stuff. Where can I find value? Every single time I say props, there's value to be found 100%. But if I post Le'Veon Bell over 20 yards, it'll be 24 yards in a minute and it'll be 30 yards in 10 minutes. So, and another thing is that is super book related. I feel like the more books you have, the better numbers you can find. Props are, you can find 22 to 24 everywhere. So being in a state that's not legal to gamble, I would have a hard time finding the best line for a prop. So I don't.
For anybody who's looking for a good follow related to sports gambling, Captain Jack Andrews at CapJack2000 on Twitter. I just started following him like a week ago, and his YouTube content is great. His Twitter content is great. He calls it how he sees them. It's informative and it's entertaining sometimes too, or not sometimes, most of the time. So yeah, that's a quick plug for him. But yeah, are there any other like just quality social media accounts that you can think of top of your head that you'd want to just kind of relay to people in the community or viewers?
There's a really good one for college basketball, talking about who's injured and not. So Fantasy Labs MLB is a good one to have. It'll show lineups beforehand. I cannot find. Here it is. NCAA Fantasy Hoop. It's college fantasy basketball. They post probably the quickest I've seen to say if somebody's hurt or they'll be there. I just got a text while reading that. I had the worst multitasker in history.
Multitasking's fake.
Um, I would say Barry Horse, but I don't think he tweets about sports anymore. Let me see.
He was tweeting about Bitcoin earlier.
Yeah, I see that right now. I actually didn't even know he's talking about it. Yeah, he doesn't tweet about sports anymore.
Extra layman's terms. Bitcoin is getting better. The Fed is still printing. Do what you want.
He's he's something else. Good dude. I
I
don't
love his header. Charles Woodson, Peyton Manning, Randy Moss, and Ryan Lee.
um yeah, that's about it that I got. Let's see. Joe Osborne's a good one. He's a super like I feel like everybody follows Joe, but Joe is first off, he's a pretty smart guy. Second, he's like one of the coolest dudes you'll talk to. Like there's never been a day that he didn't respond to me within let's see what the last response was. I sent it at 6:05. He responded by 6:10. So it's just like that realism. Super good dude. So most of the Odd Sharks people are really good, and the fantasy for basketball, the MLB lineups one is good, and then Captain Jack's just a really good one to learn sports in general.
Yeah, I loved his videos breaking down each retail sports book, their different features, their interface, their limits. That was really good. I can't remember specifics about each one. But yeah, that's what I want to talk about next is limits. So first off, for you, for your books, what limits do you deal with? Do you ever have headaches? What goes it?
So I posted a picture of it a couple of times, but the only real limit. So I'm in a local book. I'm in probably 6 local books, and most of them are cool in the fact that they understand what I do. They understand that I usually bring in people, so they're not scared to give me a higher limit than typical, because I bring in people that everybody else is going to be stupid. In one of my books, he said that there's 3 profitable people. I am one of 3. And I brought in over 30 people that literally get my plays on an everyday basis, meaning that they just take stupid shit. And so limits for me aren't tough typically, but recently I have been getting limited on college sports early in the week. So when I wanted to take the Arkansas game, when I wanted to take the Auburn game, and one more, I I would get a flag that says this game is circled and can't be bet over $500. So I would have to go to another book and bet it. But it's really not a problem. And having so many books, you can get as much money down as you want. So I wouldn't say limits is a problem. I've had people that set my limits on KBO or props super low, but that's probably for the best of me. Like I probably shouldn't be on those. But overall, not. It hasn't been a problem. I understand there's problems in major markets, and like if you use FanDuel, DraftKings, but there's so many people that'll take action now that I feel like if you put in a little bit of effort, you can get your money in. So
Okay. So maybe this isn't worth speculating because this is not where we're at right now. But let's say gambling is legal and you've got all the options in the world. You're seeing a lot of stories about retail books limiting.
mm-hmm.
And let's say you get flagged, or let's say they got a good profile on you and they're like, we don't want to take this dude's action.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself sticking with locals?
Yeah. So the problem with locals is you get a worse number. You've probably seen like Spider post it all the time. FanDuel gets such good numbers. And so it sucks, yes, because as I've explained how important lines are and closing line, it sucks. But and hopefully Alabama will be a legal state and I can get a FanDuel and get a DraftKings. But if I was to ever get limited, you would kind of be forced to go to the local. And then it just comes to the fact to find a local that is the best odds possible. My college basketball local is a 105 book. And so I get numbers that are ridiculous. Like when most books are giving -3, -110, I'm getting 3, 1.5. So 1.5, 105. And so end of the day, yes, FanDuel's probably going to be better. But if you can't get money down on FanDuel, then it does you no good. And so having a local setup that is better than nothing, I feel like is a good tool to have.
I think that just speaks to what we always talk about, which is have as many legitimate options as you can. And when things are legalized, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
You're still going to need as many options as you can. I only have 3, and I know for a fact that I need to like double or triple that.
Yeah.
Um,
My thing is
yeah,
when it becomes legal, they're just going to have to be better. So if a local is doing good in your state right now, it's because he's the only option you have. But if FanDuel's in the entire country, he's going to have to use a better UI so that he can get lines that are anywhere near acceptable. Like right now, I have a book right now. I haven't opened it in months. It's actually the guy. I texted him. I was like, hey, I know he's a Biden supporter, so I was like, hey, I'll go straight up with you on that. I'm not using your book because your book is trash, but I'll, as much as you want to do, I'll do. And so he's the one that I'm taking the action for Trump with. Um, but his books are like 15 cents inflated on purpose. Like he knows both sides are inflated 15 cents. And he's like, here's the thing. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. And so there's no competition to push him down. So when there's FanDuel across the country, then I feel like locals are going to have to become better. So I don't feel like that would be a problem.
okay. Um, I'm curious of your thoughts on. So I've been seeing all this talk on Twitter about sharps getting limited, people are getting mad. Crap, I can't remember what show it was on, but whatever, some radio sports gambling show. David Payne, Purdom, the ESPN guy, was on it, and he was talking about he's hearing all these stories about sharps getting limited, and people are complaining because they're like, if you're legally, yes, you're allowed. Sports books are allowed to do whatever the hell they want, but they're like, oh, this is a ripoff. Like this isn't legit business. Like limits should just exist. They should be equal. Like limits should exist for everybody, not just for sharps. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know it's 100% legal what they're doing, but I don't know. It's not unethical, but it's an interesting dynamic.
Obviously, did you hear them?
Yeah.
That's one of those beer drinking pedal tours outside.
Uh,
Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, as a sports bettor, I would wish that they couldn't do that, but books are a business, and so I completely understand why they do. And I mean,
they got to report to shareholders and
from a business perspective, it makes complete sense. Like, why would you take risk that you don't believe is profitable in the long term? So
yeah.
I get that. Is it shitty? 1,000%. It's shitty that half the stuff they do. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's see. Um, like the Yankees game being rained out in the first 5 innings, first game of our season, they changed the rules. I bet on that game a month early, and our local changed the rule from it has to play 5 innings to it has to play 9 innings for your game to count. And that was something that's been changed in the last like 6 months. And a lot of people's books didn't pay it out. Mine did, thankfully. But they literally made that rule. I locked it in a month early, and they made it right here before the game. So the fact that they can just make a rule and me be SOL because of it, like it's shitty, but I mean, they can do what they want. So limiting doesn't surprise me at all, and it makes complete logical sense, but it's trash, yes.
Okay. Um, Something else I want to talk about, which I'm not sure if you're going to have a bunch of an opinion on that, but so the dynamic between the fact that you have something like Barstool, which I'm, stooling myself,
Mm.
and this is not really coming from a place of criticism, but they have, well, first off, I want to pull this up, but in the meantime, I think it's interesting that they have all these podcasts, they have all these shows, they do all this content involving sports betting, they have their employees on live stream betting, and they're also taking action as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's just an interesting dynamic that occurs when you play both sides of the coin.
I would say if they were to be like, if Barstool was a super serious, like me, if I was to be like, hey, uh, here's the book I made, go join my book, then yeah, it would be like, what the hell? Because I'm trying to beat the book. But Barstool's never really been about profitability. They've been about enjoying sports, and
Yeah.
it takes like life's too short to bet the under. Like they don't preach actual logic in sports betting. They preach the fun of it, and so
Yeah.
I saw no problem in it. And the fact that like they're not a serious company, like they have fun, and so to make a sports book. Also, the sports book isn't exactly involved with Barstool. Barstool is a face of a sports book of a much bigger company that does not care about what Barstool does. But Barstool, they have shows that they do pick'ems, and they literally don't know half the teams. Like they're not a serious company like in the face of sports gambling. They're the most fun, and they have a cult of a following, and it's absolutely awesome. And big cats to goat. But I see no problem in it in the sense that it's not serious gambling. It's for fun, and college kids follow them and lose money, and they know they're going to lose money. So why not lose money to Barstool? So
Yep. The one that's a little more interesting on that same topic of media mixed with sportsbook is the Score. So the Score, they have a betting, they have a sports book too that they just released not that long ago, and that one gets me a little more because
that's weird. I didn't know they had a sports book.
yeah, they just released it not that long ago. And I actually think they have a deal with Penn where the reason I know this is because I was thinking about investing, but I don't think I'm going to because their handle is pretty shit right now. But what I would be concerned about with them a little more, and I think it still goes along the same lines that, a lot of it's for fun, but they might have customers that use their platform to get information and then make decisions based on that information.
Yeah.
Barstool is doing kind of the same thing, but it's so much more entertainment focused. But the Score, like, they're giving you legit articles, not maybe, legit statistics and gambling information, gambling insight, but they're giving you articles, and there's going to be some people that use that information to bet on their book. So although I guarantee you they're not being disingenuous, because if they're going to be disingenuous, people aren't going to look at their media content. It's an interesting dynamic. Like I said, I'm excited to watch it play out.
Yeah, I would say that that's a lot more different than Barstool. That's kind of weird. I actually had no clue that was a thing. End of the day, I feel like they're still not telling you what to do. They're just giving you information and then also giving you a place to bet. So I still don't see a problem with it. I think it would be a problem if it was more like Action. Like, I think if Action was to make a sports book, it would be kind of shitty because they have things that are like, hey, sharps are on this, you're on this, you're on this. Our favorite play is this. So that would be shitty because then they would have incentives for you to lose. But the Score doesn't really have incentives for you to lose. It just tells you, like, hey, here's stats. And so I don't think that that's wrong by any means, but it is much more interesting. And if Action is to make one, then you're going to get in some hot water.
College basketball is how many days away? What are we, a month and a half?
November 24th, so 28 days.
Okay. You got any preliminary thoughts on college basketball
So
that you're willing to share?
So I have not looked at college basketball enough, but I have somebody looking at college basketball for me. Just breaking down top 50 teams. Aaron Torres, if you follow Aaron Torres on Twitter, that's a good one to add. I didn't say that. He makes a college basketball podcast and talk to basically every college basketball coach that you would want to talk to. It was insane. Like, he knocked out so many interviews this summer. He even this is just a plug because I thought it was cool for him. He interviewed Jake Paul in his like a small, like, he has 19,000 followers. Like, it's not that big, but he interviewed Jake Paul about boxing. And so I thought that was crazy, but he is helping me. I have another guy that's helping me. And overall, I haven't looked into sports enough, but I know that the SEC is going to be super deep this year. Gonzaga brings a team that is absolutely disgusting. They, I believe, so I could be completely wrong on this. I believe they kept all 5 starters and brought 2 transfers in from major schools. Then my favorite team would be Akron near you. Akron brings back all 5 starters. All 5 are going to be 6-year players, I'm pretty sure. And then also same does Richmond. So Richmond is going to be a really scary team. I think Richmond's going to be priced right, though, because they're already, I believe they're plus 6,000 to win the NCAA tournament, which they're not going to. But to even be on the boards, I feel like Vegas knows that Richmond's going to be a really good team this year. I believe they lost 4 games last year. Let me check. I have no clue. I think they lost 4 games last year. And so to get every starter back is kind of disgusting. And so Richmond's going to be good. Akron, I'm hoping is going to get slept on, and we will just destroy Akron every single game. Gonzaga, you're not going to be able to bet on. Gonzaga is going to be absolutely insane. I think Duke is going to see their first year that they're not really a good team. I mean, good is a relative word. I don't think that they're going to be Duke that we've seen every single year. Other than that, Houston's going to be a pretty good team. Michigan State's always my favorite team. Iowa, that'll be interesting with Garza coming back. And yeah, I would say Akron, Richmond, those are the 2 that are going to be easiest to bet. Duke might be a fade. Iowa might be a fade, honestly, because Garza is a really good basketball player, but he has gotten hyped to hell and back. I think they went from projected 16th to whenever he was announced he's coming back to 6th. And so to assume that one player is a 10 spot, I don't see it. But
Okay.
I'm looking up Richmond's record.
I know. So Johnny Tix, shout out Johnny Tix. He brought up that you had turned him on. Maybe I'm misquoting, but you had turned him on to Ohio State first half
Mm-hmm.
college football. Did
Yep.
you? Because I joined last December, so I wasn't a part of college football. Were you betting Ohio State first half last year?
Yeah. So I think that one of the easiest ways to go about sports betting and the idea of sports betting is find something that the market can't beat. Like, obviously, they're going to beat it one day, but they just can't adjust enough. So, Ohio State first half, Ohio State was a really high scoring team. So, these first half lines were 9.5, 10, and they can't get much higher. Like, Ohio State's playing quality teams. You can't just toss out 2 touchdowns. So, they're putting out 11.5, but Ohio State was covering every single time. And so the idea of just Vegas can't go much further, but the season itself is showing that they should. Another good example is Alabama first half team total. I'm pretty sure it covered all but 2 games last year. The year before, I know for a fact, it only didn't cover 1 game. And so, I mean, how high do you want them to put the number? They have to stop at some point. I know that we bet Alabama team total over 28.5 last year. And so the thought, like, 28.5 in one half versus an SEC school, that's like a perfect line, and you should honestly go under. But I knew, like, Alabama will drop 35 and a quarter. And it was Alabama-Tennessee last year, I believe, and they did drop 35 in the first half. They dropped it with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, I'm almost positive. But they just can't put the number high enough. And so that's what Ohio State was last year. It's in every sport, though. So college basketball, you've probably seen if you look in NCAA chat. We did the same thing with Baylor first half. Every Baylor. It wasn't every Baylor game, but it was every Baylor game.
It was a lot.
They played Texas. I remember they played Texas. Texas was a pretty good school. Put it at 5.5. Full game spread was 8. First half spread was 5.5. Like, Vegas is like, hey, we can't go any higher. And they covered first half, lost the game. Not lost, they didn't cover the game. And so just to find those spots of teams that, like, Vegas has to stop at some point. They can't put a bigger number. That's what Ohio State was. It went, I don't remember. I saw the DM. He said it went something ridiculous, but I don't remember what it was. Yeah, I'm not sure. Football, honestly, it's been tough. It's been more tough, I guess is the correct word. Football has been more tough to understand, like, what COVID has done. So I saw a tweet today, and they explained it perfect. Underdogs of 3 or more this year are covering against the spread at 62% so far this year. And so it explains a lot. Like, yeah, we bet on favorites, but that's not even what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is the market itself isn't very, like, typically if you draw that exact same reference to 2010, I'm recording on this so I can't look, but I'm sure if you draw that exact same reference point to 2010, it's a 50% against the spread, because Vegas as a market makes a beautiful – if you watched how perfect Vegas is at what they do, it's insane. So to know that underdogs are covering 62% just like as just a casual blind throw is absolutely insane. And so
that is absurd.
I said last week in the video, I said college basketball, we have no clue what's going to happen. It's going to be something you have to learn. And I feel like college football has been the same way. But just nobody, like, I don't think Vegas has even learned. Like, they don't know what to expect. We're beating lines by 15 and 20%, which is astronomical. If you talk to somebody that knows sports betting and you tell them we beat markets by 15% every single time, they would not believe you.
Yeah.
And so to know that we're doing that and not winning is more of just a play on the lines that Vegas was giving, saying that, hey, y'all aren't sharp to your markets yet. And they're not. I mean, if you look, they're not sharp yet. And so I feel like as they get more sharp, we'll do better. And hopefully this weekend is the start of that. But I just hope that their market is sharp in college basketball. It was perfect in MLB. Underdogs this year in baseball were 500 and 473, almost perfect. And so to know that was so close, and then college basketball underdogs are 63%. It's just astronomical. And so I think Vegas doesn't know anything in the sense that they don't know what's going to happen. And that's what betting on Ohio State scares me off the start. They're still not going to know what's going to happen. And we're just
There's no reason to do it on the first game.
Yeah. But what we do in the future, most likely. To put this in perspective, underdogs since 2010, so 2020, they're 63% against the spread. Since 2010, listen how sharp Vegas is. They are 4,711 and 4,760, 50%. So, like, the market is so perfect. So to see it struggle like this, it's insane. And so that's why I tell people all the time, I'm not worried, because Vegas is going to get sharp. Did you see Spanky said there was a book in New Jersey that lost $400,000 last month? When's the last time Vegas lost money? You would be shocked. I believe I don't have the date in front of me, but I believe it was June of 2012 was the last time that they lost money. So this isn't normal. Like, the market's not good right now, and so it sucks, but it's a fluctuation, and we continue to beat lines, and that's all we can do.
Yep, do your job. That's about it. So a little bit unrelated, but you've mentioned before. I remember somebody actually messaged you about it in the chat. They were just like, I couldn't deal with the idea of having this many people, I'm going to say, relying loosely on you for money, because obviously, like, people aren't relying solely on you for income. But how do you deal with that responsibility?
Yeah. So to say that it's not tough would be a complete lie to this camera. There's nights that so when I do good, the annoying part of it is when I do good, it's my job. Like, I'm supposed to do good. And when I do bad, I'm just this absolutely fucking terrible human. And 99% of people don't think like that, and will have my back through everything. But that 1%, like, it's easy to say that they don't get to me, but after time, I mean, it'll get to anybody. And so I wouldn't say that the number, like, having 1,000 people having one person, it doesn't matter. People depending on you for anything, it's nerve-wracking, and it's something that every single day as a 23-year-old, now y'all know that I am a very young person, so I don't have thick enough skin to deal with it on a daily basis. I try, but it's tough, and it's something that I work on a daily basis. And my mentor, so the person that I talk about for the most part about just life itself and doing these type of things at a young age, is a stock market investor. He day trades. So this guy does essentially what we do, but in the stock market. And he has a much bigger following. And so I was like, how do you deal with this on a daily basis? Like, people relying on what you say is right or wrong on a daily basis. And I don't know, you can't complain, because I've gotten so fortunate to be where I'm at, but it is a very scary task, and it's part of the territory. I love it, and would not trade the stress for anything in the world. But I mean, as you can see, I got bags under my eyes. I don't sleep often when I do bad, and then I sleep like a champ when I do good. So it's just part of it.
Gotcha. I know a lot of people wanted to hear that answer, and it's always good to see people who are positive when we're not doing well. I love to see that. I know Johnny went on a little bit of a rant the other night. That was funny. But just in general, even when people are just dropping one-liners, like, oh, it's cool. We got your back, whatever else. It's always good to see that.
And so my thing on that, and so somebody said the other day, is like, why are y'all so antsy on people being negative? Like, because I did scroll through, like, people were like, stay positive, like, Everybody starts talking trash whenever he loses, and there wasn't much bad talking, yes, but the thing is, like, it's such a highs and lows event. Like, you have to understand that there's going to. So I actually had somebody send it to me. Before the first play of college football, I said there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. This is my highest returning sport. Be ready to ride. Like, if you're not willing to go through the highs, you're not willing to go through the lows. Don't. Just don't join. So to have those highs and lows and have people that will keep the mindset of, hey, we're good long term. It's not about seeing people be like, oh, damn, that sucked. Yeah, we get it. That sucked. The idea is that what does it help you saying it sucks? What does it help the rest of the community? And so, like, I don't care for people to be like, oh, on to the next one. Like, let's do better tomorrow. The idea is to be like, hey, it's short term. Like push it away. There's going to be highs. There's going to be lows. Don't say things that have no like merit or value to them. Like, the chat is there. The other day we had a conversation in the chat. There was genuine conversation on what bankroll should be and like questions to me. Like, it was basically how me and you talk, but in the chat, me answering questions, and that's perfect. It's constructive criticism and it's helpful. But like, who does it help to be like, damn, that loss really sucked? It helps nobody.
Yeah.
I don't ask people to be like, hell yeah, that was a great win. I don't ask for it. And so if you're worried about a loss, you're betting too much money and you need to do something about that.
One of the best things I've ever heard, super simple, and I'm guilty as anybody else, complaining about whatever the hell happened that's like negatively impacting you doesn't do any good. It's completely futile, however the fuck you say that. Like I said, I'm not an angel by any means, but it doesn't help. It doesn't help.
So I used to have that problem, and I just stopped watching the sports games. I would be like, damn, that was rough. That one referee call kind of screwed us over. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And so, like, complaining about one singular problem, I'm sure there was another call in the whole game that was the opposite way, and it helped us. So it's like, I stopped watching games for that problem. I would find mistakes, and I'd be like, that is obnoxious. And it doesn't change anything. So if you're watching as a fan, great. If you're watching just to complain about it because you have money on it, it's stupid. So.
I don't got any other questions related to community or industry, but I always like to end with something stupid. Are you dressing up for Halloween?
Probably not.
I figured.
No, I'll probably be sitting in front of my computer on Halloween.
That's kind of
I don't know. I might do something. If I do something, I'll post it in Discord. How about that?
Okay. Me and my buddies are doing we're being the cops from Reno 911. So I'll post a group pic of that. I haven't gone out to the bar. I was doing sober October, or I started like 2 weeks into November, so I haven't consumed any kind of substance besides caffeine. I love my tea, but yeah. So October 31st, Ohio State plays Penn State on Halloween, so I'm gonna go out for that. But
I've been doing. So you've been doing sober October. I've been doing squats every single day at the gym.
Shit.
It's awful. Don't do it.
No, that sounds awful. I hate it.
But no, so no, if I have a costume, it will not be something like that. So the last time I dressed up, I was running late because I was doing something. And any person that has had personal contact with me, as you know, I am either A, late to everything, or B, cannot keep my mind to do one thing. So I just forgot to buy a costume. So I went to the store on the way to the party, bought purple balloons, and made myself a grape. I just put a whole bunch of balloons up here and then went all the way down. And I was a big grape because I was like, I forgot a costume. So I will not be Reno 911, but if I do something, it'll be goofy. So yeah, let's do one more thing. Talk about the app, the idea of the app, and less the app. Start it with your thing that you wanted to send out.
Okay. Yeah. So we're going to send out, just in order to gather a little more intel, a little more data on who we have in the community. I'm going to send out a Google Forms survey for everybody to fill out. It's just going to be a little bit of demographic and geographic information, a little bit of your, like I said, knowledge about sports, fandom, and most importantly, feedback about the Discord. concerns, things you're confident about, things you enjoy, that being the most important part, because we really want to get a comprehensive idea of what people think, because we have so many members that aren't active. Like we see a lot of the same names over and over again, which is great. We love when people are active, but definitely want to get some opinions from people that maybe aren't quite as active.
Yeah, and I thought that that was a really good idea to add on right now because we're actually in the works of an app. I've said this in a couple things. I think I said in the last podcast, but the app is going to be everything that we want, like absolutely perfect. So it's a lot of money, and so I want it to fill every person's needs. So the end of that has what's your favorite part? Have you had a quality time? Like what could we change to make our app better than what we have now? Because we want, as we were talking earlier, we want this app to be every person who bets on sports needs this app, and also we're gonna have our private community in it. So we want to fix any problem that we've had, and so that's what this is going to be used for, is to hear your complaints, hear everything that we've done right, done wrong, what you want to emphasize, what you have questions about, and fix them. And now's the time. We're in hyper growth and we want to build the best app possible. So everybody's feedback would be helpful, and that's what that's for.
Be patient on the app though, because
Yeah,
like you
no,
learned, like this is not coming out next week or some shit.
no. I have
Just
a
but
I I have a
go
conference
ahead.
call. I have a conference call with the designers tomorrow. I was supposed to today, but I don't have very much time available in my days. So it don't expect this thing. I mean, I'm shooting for what's right now. I'm hoping for to have it done by early January. That's my hope.
You just
Uh,
shot yourself in the foot by giving out a date.
yeah, my birthday is early January, so I really want to have it done by my birthday.
Okay.
But don't okay, yeah. So I'm gonna leave that in, but don't even like
Don't ask about it unless
don't
you have a
don't
constructive criticism
yeah,
feedback that you provide
exactly.
in the form.
So know that I am working as hard as I can on it. But things go from me out of my power and I cannot do anything about it. And so asking me when it's going to be done helps none because I am not typing the code. I am the one that is critiquing it and trying to get us the best out possible. And trust me, I won this thing here yesterday and it's not going to happen. So um, it'll be here one day. And when it is, it's going to be a change to the industry and I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Theoretically, think, sports betting tools, like I have that spreadsheet, which I mean is helpful to some people, but it can be done a million times better through an
Mm-hmm.
app. Think that times social network, times community, times every sports betting tool you can possibly think of. Yeah, theoretically, it all sounds great, and it's going to take a lot of hard work, strategy, and man hours to get it done. But
We're here to do it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, can't wait. Hopefully, also something I was talking about with some other people that just sort of higher up than me is I want to be able to. I don't know the logistics behind this, and this is another thing. Like, don't hold me to this, but I am working on it. Uh, I take multiple phone calls a day on this idea. Is getting sports books to give us like how if you join Bovada, you get like 25% if you use Bitcoin or something like that. Have referral for us so that when I post lines, they're lines that are readily available to everybody. And because I see so many people say they don't have enough outs. Well, the outs are out there. And so to be able to give a referral link that gets you X amount more and keeps us on the same page and worth of lines, like Spider gets much better lines on FanDuel. If everybody could get a FanDuel account, we would be sitting in heaven. So talking to people, trying to make that happen, but it's hard to get in contact with the right people. So that is another thing that is a long stretch, but hopefully one day we'll have it. There's so many things, like how we talked about the last thing. This is in its infancy, and every single day I'm trying to grow it, and I bust my ass on a daily basis to get things to make a year from now. I really want to look back and be like, wow, we were just at the start. And so getting people into sports books, making this app, like all of that is the step into that. Like I want this app to be the end all be all. You never thought that you would be able to bet on sports without it. And so that's what I'm working on. And so it's a lot.
Hell yeah, man. I'm excited. That's a good way to end it.
All right. My dog's probably killing somebody at the door, so let's end it.